Welcome into WagerTalk TV. I am Drew Martin, joined by Robbie Vino. We're talking Big Ten action on Saturday, Rob. We got the Penn State Nittany Lions welcoming in the Michigan Wolverines. We saw a total of 48. And actually, as we're talking right now, we got Penn State -1. We got pick'ems out there. We got Penn State +1. So depending which team you want to bet, Robbie, you can find both teams at the underdog price. What are we liking in the Big Ten matchup Saturday, Robbie?
Yeah, lots of variance in the number right now, Drew, midweek as we sit here. Noon Eastern time in State College. Weather should be okay. Be a little cold. Not real cold, though. High 30s. No wind to speak of. So November weather not going to play a real significant role in this one. Should be a fast track. Let's start with Michigan. Still alive to win the Big Ten East and find their way into the Big Ten championship game. They sit at 5-1 in conference. Ohio State, of course, 6-0 in that division, and those two will play each other. So Michigan's got everything in front of them still. We'll see how they do here at Penn State. You know what's interesting about them this year, Drew, at least what has been interesting to me, is the way they've been able to balance off their offense. I did not believe, early on this season, let's say early third, that Michigan was much more than a run-heavy offense. But boy, oh boy, they've changed that narrative, and they've done it in some pretty tough venues. We'll just go through a couple of things here. In Big Ten play, Big Ten games only this year, they're averaging 420 total yards per game. The running game with Haskins and Corum, 176 yards a game, and the passing game with Cade McNamara, which has really been the surprise, 244 passing yards per game on 74% completions. Accurate. They cause difficulty for other secondaries. It's really been a revelation here for Michigan to have this style of passing game. When they played Wisconsin in Madison, they gained 365 total yards. That total right now stands as the most total yards given up by the Badgers in a game all season long. It's 68 yards more than the second highest total gained against Wisconsin, which was Penn State's 297. So imagine nobody as of yet has gotten to 300 total yards against Wisconsin's defense, except for Michigan, which got to 365. Shows you how good their offense really is. On the road this year, they've been tested. As I mentioned, they went to Madison. They went to Lincoln, Nebraska, and gained 459 total yards. Then they went to Michigan State, of course, in a loss, a bitter loss at the end of the game, but they gained 552 yards in that game. I point all of this out because I think that total is a little bit low at 48. On the road this season, Michigan 2-1 against the spread, but 3-0 over the total, and they've beaten the total by margin. So it shows that the odds maker still hasn't really caught up with Michigan and their point production ability. They defeated the total in those three road games by 11.5, 11, and 19.5, all double-digit separations from the closing total. Again, 48, 48.5 looks a little low here. Penn State, biggest knock on them offensively has been their lack of running game. Unable to open up holes, unable to get anything going. They've kind of turned to pure pass. I think they threw it 50 times last week, 50 or better maybe. Really, the last 2 weeks, since Sean Clifford has been healthy at quarterback, the lack of running game hasn't hurt the Penn State offense. They only gained 55 true rushing yards. That means that the sack yardage is weeded out of this. If you take that out, Penn State only ran for 55 yards, 2.2 a carry. Last week against Maryland, a poor defense, they only ran for 109 true rushing yards, 3.6 a carry. So they haven't been able to run it, yet they've still been able to throw 361 and 363 through the air against both of those teams. 24 points scored against Ohio State and numerous opportunities that were blown by Penn State to score more points. And then 24 points produced by the offense last week against Maryland. 1-7 was put up by the defense on an interception return. So I don't know that lack of running game hurts Penn State here at home as far as being able to attack Michigan's defense, which has been susceptible at times on the road. Again, Nebraska scored on them. Michigan State scored on them. Keys to the game, plain and simple to me, Drew. If Penn State can pass protect, they'll be okay. However, they've allowed 11 sacks in the last 3 games. That's a big number against the defense that features Aiden Hutchinson and some pretty good pass rushers. And then the Michigan secondary. Here's a matchup I think Penn State probably can exploit. This secondary's been a bit untested in Big Ten play. They faced Rutgers, Northwestern, Wisconsin, and Indiana. None of those 4 can throw the football. In fact, in those 4 games, Michigan only allowed 173 passing yards per game. Pretty good number, but again, it's against foes that can't throw the football. The only 2 games in Big Ten play where they played teams capable of throwing the football, and I don't even know that either one of these 2 is capable of throwing it the way Penn State is. Those 2 were Nebraska and Michigan State. Those 2 games, a little bit different numbers for Michigan. 64% completions, 243.5 passing yards per game. I think over is the way to go here, Drew. I mean, that Penn State trio at wide receiver of Jahan Dotson, Parker Washington, Keandre Lambert-Smith, plus their pair of tight ends, it's a lot to guard. And if they can keep Clifford upright, he's got some mobility, as we know, then I think 48 on a fast track is a little low. So I'll try over the number. I guess we're looking at 48.5 now. I'll try over the number, Penn State, Michigan.
48.5, looking towards the over in Happy Valley. He's Robbie Vino. I'm Drew Martin. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the game. Michigan and Penn State. Also remember to check out WagerTalk odds screen. See the tab there, the live odds screen at WagerTalk.com.